So I get a lot of people on here saying, hey Mike, I love your landscaping videos. However, I tend to be more into vegetable gardening and fruiting plants and trees and things like that, things that I can actually eat. Why don't you do more videos like that? Well, the short answer is, I love my landscape plants, but the long answer is, I do have a garden and you've seen my orchard, so I thought today, in the spirit of edible plants, why don't we just go take a walk through everything we've got going on here and just show you guys what I've got going on. And to begin the journey, well, we got a duck under the petunia basket. Let's walk on through here. Edible plants, guys, look at that. All these beautiful figs, doing well. But I'm going to show you something over here. It's kind of cool. Thought you guys might like to see. I got a ton of different projects going on here, and I don't want to show you too much, but there's some mulberry cuttings, and they're doing okay so far. Yeah, there's a video to follow. Let's come on out here. So we've got grapes. We've got our whole orchard over here. You've seen all this, and out beyond all this is our fig orchard, and that is, you know, it's just put in this year, so it's new, it's young, it's going to take time to grow, but these are all of our grapes, and they're growing beautifully and doing really awesome. And as you can see, we've already got little grapes kind of growing on here all over the place. You see all that? Look at all those grapes. You even got them over here on the end of this guy. Grapes everywhere throughout this thing. So, and I pruned this thing back heavily. You saw that grape video that I did here recently about propagating these things. Before I did that, these were all up over this line here, and they were so thick, the woody branches, you could hardly see through it, and they were coming off of the fence here several feet. So I pruned it all way back, and they're just producing massively. All right, let's walk on through here, go through the little garden gate here. And you've seen the orchard before. You guys want to talk about edible plants? Let's talk about edible plants. We got our new strawberry patch in here. So we've got Sequoia strawberries now. We ripped out the strawberries we had in there before. They were great strawberries, one of the best flavor strawberries, but they were so tiny and they produced all summer long. We wanted one big crop so we could can and do everything all at once. But so we got our Sequoia strawberries, and I honestly don't remember the variety here, but you can see the plants are doing awesome. We've got some bigger berries coming in down there. Let's get down in there so you can see it. And I'm excited to see that. This is first year, so they're only going to get bigger and better over time as these things mature and develop. So I'm looking forward to seeing a big crop in June every year, June, July, so that we can do one big canning season and freezing and doing everything we need to do with these, and then just kind of put that to rest and move on to something else. You guys have seen the blueberries. Let's head on over here. Shelly just mowed this whole area, so it's all real nice looking right now. Always looks good freshly mowed. But that video I did about the blueberries here, the update not too long ago, was just, geez, that was only a few days ago, maybe 4 days ago, something like that. And look at all of this. These guys have already started ripening just that quick. So you can see we've got all kinds of ripe blueberries coming on here. Move on down to this one. We got ripe blueberries all over the place, and the girls and Shelly came out and picked through all of these about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 days ago. I think that last video was about a week ago, and then a day or two after that they came through and picked all these, and now look, more just coming on and ripening. But look at that, they are all so fantastic. 16 different varieties here, 2 rows. For some reason that row has never done that well, and I don't know why. Those are different blueberries. We bought those from a different nursery. They were already large, and they were balled and burlapped. We've had them in the ground here for about 4 years, and they've never done well. I don't know what the reasoning is. We bought this entire row from a different nursery as 1-gallon pots, planted them right away. Nothing but success with them. So we're thinking about tearing all those out over time, because some of them are doing okay, and we'll probably leave them. But the rest of them just never have really done too much. But we got a nice little variety right here. Don't have the tag anymore, don't know the variety, but look at all these guys. There's a little bug getting that guy. But there's so many of them in here, we need to get them picked today, and I plan on coming out and doing that. There's that Toro I've done videos on. So you can see lots of blueberries. We got lots of edible plants in here. This one is called Pink Popcorn, and the girls picked it out. Really neat variety. It starts turning more of a pink when it ripens, not blue, and you can see that there. But My girls love it. It's just a neat name, pink popcorn, and it's a really good tasting variety, but it's done really good for us every year. I think I still have the tag in there. It's down there somewhere, but another variety producing real good. And then this right here, Jim Ham, there you go, buddy. There's all of our raspberries. You got some of those raspberries, and these guys are doing good. You can see the new growth coming up. Those will fruit next year. This is all last year's growth that's fruiting now, and you can see just in the last few days all of these berries starting to turn. Let's get a little closer. Look at all those red berries, man. That's absolutely crazy. They just start putting them out like crazy for probably a month now. You can see, like, let's come on down here. Look at all these red berries. We need to start picking here soon. And then we've got little green ones coming that'll be ready in weeks, probably a couple weeks. And these guys will be ready in a few days to a week. And they just keep coming on, all, you know, for quite a while, for weeks now. And you can, I mean, this is a 40-foot row. You can freeze these, you can can them, and we make jam for the kids for their peanut butter and jelly all winter long. And they just provide and produce. Every once in a while we get, this isn't every year on all of them, but we get just a little stand of them that do this weird funky thing, and I'm not sure what that is. But then next year they won't have this, where they just don't really produce. I don't know if they didn't get pollinated or what, but some of them on there did, but not all of them. Kind of weird. But for the most part, I mean, geez, there's no shortage of raspberries right there. Really awesome. Nice new massive stalk coming up. And this will be next year's raspberry production. And we got our espaliered trees. So we've got our 3 apple trees and 3 pear. And we're in the middle of summer right now, so I really need to get these guys pruned back. And remember, I've done 2 videos on that in the past. I'll put links in the description there, but pruning these espaliered trees, and I did one pruning in the winter and one in the summer. The summer pruning is for production. You prune for fruit spurs. The winter pruning is for form. You know, when all the leaves are off, you can see what the tree looks like. You can kind of prune it to where you want it to be and how you want it to look, height, width, all that kind of stuff. So there's something involved in pruning. It's not rocket science, but if you want to prune it and get it to produce really well for you, then look at that. Only a couple feet wide there, and that's just because of all the sucker branches growing out. They really need to get pruned back, but going to produce loads of fruit. Let's come take a look. Look at that. Little apples in there already starting to form. Look at how many apples. That's crazy. Lots of apples. Every year these things get better, and those stalks are getting thicker and nicer. I kind of have been thinking about just leaving these stalks, or sorry, leaving all the top growth on these this year, because the more top growth, the more photosynthesis, the more sugars, the bigger the roots can get, the bigger the trunks can get. So I was thinking about just leaving it this year, and then next winter really pruning back hard to the form I want, and only leaving a few, like you can see the lateral branches along there, only leaving a few every like 6 to 9 inches, little branches coming up maybe 6 inches, so I can really get these things beat down quite a bit again. Let's look at this. I saw this is, actually I might have to go on the other side. Actually, here it is. This is our Bartlett pear right here, and you can see we've got a couple pears there. There they are. The pears, oh, there's another one, another little Bartlett. The pears haven't produced a ton yet, and I don't know if it's a time kind of thing, like they just need more time in the ground than apples do. They are producing, and they produce every year, but not as much as the apple trees do. I did buy 3 different varieties here, and I bought these varieties to all pollinate each other, and that's the same with the apples. I bought them because I knew they would pollinate each other. I suppose you guys probably want to know. So this is a Bartlett here. This one, that one down there, I think is a Moonglow pear. This one, Comus. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a Moonglow. This is what it's called. There it is, Moonglow. So we got Moonglow, and then Comus and Bartlett. And they all will cross-pollinate each other. You always, when you're dealing with fruit trees, you always want cross-pollinators because you'll get more fruit, better quality fruit. So here's our first apple tree here. And it looks like the tag broke off somewhere along the line. I've got all this written down inside. Oh, that really came off. Oh, there it is. No, yeah, Fuji. That one's a Fuji. It's just getting too big. I need to actually rewrap that around the trunk. I'm going to do that when I put this camera down. So we got a Fuji right there, and then this guy, look at how much growth. This is crazy. Let's get in here. This guy is, I think it's a Golden Delicious. Oh, Yellow Delicious. That's the one my oldest daughter picked that one out. Yellow Delicious. She likes those apples. And then this one right here, one of the heaviest producers. You saw the apples on it. Gala, and that's a really good sweet apple. I still have a Honeycrisp. You guys saw me graft those Honeycrisp a couple of years ago. I'll put links to that video down in the description. The chicken coop. So here you go. You guys are wondering about vegetable gardens. Let's start showing you. So we always do zucchini every year, and we just plant it in different places around the yard. But this is Black Beauty zucchini. That's our favorite zucchini. It produces heavily and abundantly. These guys are small right now, but you know, a couple more weeks they'll start really taking off, and they will produce like crazy. These things will be up 5 foot, well, 4 foot probably, and 5 foot wide. It'll take over this whole garden eventually. But these guys are really good zucchini and heavy producers. We make all kinds of things with them all year. So there you go, edible plants. Let's go walk over to the garden and show that to you. So just to give you some understanding of what we got going on here, we got our chicken coop right here, and we kind of designed it this way. So we've got it right here at the edge of our orchard, which is all over here where we were just walking. Alright, I'm going to come back over here, and we've got our chickens, and they're all out in their little run. Shelly just did a bunch of mowing, so they've got a bunch of grass clippings down in there, and them chickens love grass clippings. That area over there, you can see all that tall grass. It's kind of a swampy grass. We don't have any water over there, but in the late spring, that area can sometimes get a few inches of water built up, and it only sticks around for a couple weeks and then it goes away. But for some reason that grass has always just liked that area, and the chickens can't eat it down fast enough, which is really cool because they have a constant supply of greens and bugs throughout there, and it just keeps them that much healthier. But here's our vegetable garden, and we're going to walk around here and show all that to you in a minute. But there it is. Nothing special, but we're growing a ton of food in there. Let's go check it out. I suppose I should just take you in here real quick and show you the chicken coop too, since as long as we're out here, just another part of providing food around here for us. If you guys haven't seen it yet, I made a whole series about building this chicken coop here. It's been great for us. My wife absolutely loves it. It makes life easier on the kids when they come out and collect eggs, but you can see from the barn side here, we can collect eggs. We got a little hand down in there laying. If we go through here, we get eggs every single day. Right now we're getting about an 18 pack a day, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. We've got, I think, 23 or 24 chickens. One of them's a rooster. There's another egg right there. I think they must have already come out and collected for the day, because usually they're loaded. But there's the chicken coop. Provides us all kinds of food to go along with all the vegetables and fruit that we've been growing. So here's the garden from the other side, and the first thing you'll notice is it's right next to our chicken coop. And way down here, right where my finger is, right at that fence, we actually cut a hole. And all winter, we let the chickens out on here. Now, I've done videos about this in the past, but I learned this method from an old man down the road, and I watched him do this year after year. And when I built my own garden, I decided I was going to do it his way, because he has the best, just the most fantastic looking vegetable garden. Some people get turned off by this because they don't want their chickens in their vegetable garden. We've never had a problem with it at all. In the fall, when everything's done getting harvested, we just let the chickens in, and they just have all winter, or at least it's several months, of just eating greens and all the leftovers that are in there. And so they're healthier, they provide more eggs, and then throughout that time, they're pulling up all the greenery, they're eating any bugs or anything throughout there. They're fertilizing the whole area, and they're tilling up the surface inch or so, you know, the first inch of the soil, and getting it all kind of prepped and ready. And so by December, this is just a bare area, and I didn't have to do anything to make that happen. The chickens do all of it. They completely take care of everything and then fertilize it. So you can see right now, we've got all of our green beans here, we've got cucumbers here. We got kind of a late start this year, but this area, because the chickens were on it all winter long, and we take them off maybe, I don't know, a month or so before we plant, just to make sure the rains wash in any manure, and it just kind of, everything kind of takes care of itself. But we've got all these cucumbers along here. So in our garden, it's not perfect. No garden's perfect. I mean, you see some videos and pictures of these perfect gardens, and you know, if I spent 100% of my time on this, I could make it this picture perfect garden. But the truth is, it doesn't really matter. We put grass clippings between the rows. My wife does a lot of that because she does a lot of the mowing. We have a joke around here. I do all of the expansion and she's doing all the upkeep behind me. It's driving her crazy. But anyway, you can see we got nice paths and delineations between what we've got going on. It doesn't matter if there's a weed or two. This area was something we were trying new. We like planting plants that are already germinated because they get a head start, you know, for bird problems. It's helpful and things like that. But we tried planting seeds of spinach in here, and it didn't do well because it was too much competition with the weeds. But when you plant individual plants like these green beans here or the cucumbers there, then you end up with less competition, you know, from birds and all this kind of thing, and from weeds, and you can put grass down the rows and these things just come up like crazy. The soil's super healthy. Once we took the chickens off, we waited a little bit, and just so you guys know, I did till this area. I have a little tiller. I don't go deep. I go probably, I don't know, a few inches deep with it, just because I don't want to tear up the soil real deep, but I want to kind of make it homogeneous and fine for just surface planting, and it doesn't hurt anything at all. There's a lot of videos on YouTube about that. We started with Back to Eden, but this is the method I prefer. The Back to Eden's great, but eventually you will get massive amounts of weeds, and you're going to have to do something anyway. And when it comes to our vegetable garden, we don't use any anything that will kill weeds. We don't use any pesticides. We don't. Everything is 100% natural. So you know, we got to deal with what we got to deal with. And the best thing we found so far is a combination of chickens and grass clippings, oh, and I guess a trio, planting plants that are already growing in their own little pots, you know, seeds that were already started previously indoors or bought from a nursery or whatever. So, oh, just so you guys are aware, one thing that we like to do, we don't plant a million different things. We plant what we're actually going to need and use for our family, because gardening is a lot of work, and a lot of my time is spent on landscaping. And so we plant things we're going to can. We got cucumbers. We've got green beans. We can green beans. We've got cabbage. I like to ferment cabbage and do sauerkraut. We've got broccoli. We'll eat that through the summer. We've got way down on the end, it'll come up eventually, we've got just pickling spices down there. You can see that seeding plant right there. That's that celery that we did that video on last year. I planted it out here. It survived the winter and is still doing good. But that's what we do. You can see our little green beans are coming up. They're already starting to get flowers here. And these green beans, these bush beans here, they produce so heavily, it's absolutely crazy. And Shelly cans jar after jar after jar of these things, and that's basically our kids' vegetable for the year because they love them. They're called dilly beans. In fact, we made a video about that for you guys a couple years ago. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to make the best dilly beans imaginable. But you know, like most kids, it's hard to get them to like vegetables. They love the dilly beans, so they get them with almost every meal. So Shelly, she cans the heck out of them. And then our cucumbers, of course, you know, kids love pickles. We love pickles, so we do a lot of pickles. Usually we'll do beets. We didn't do beets this year. I don't know why, we just didn't. We did the cabbage here, and you can see we're already starting to get heads of cabbage. And a lot of this, I will say, I mean, look at the size of that cabbage compared to my hand. This is just starting now, and it's thick and dense and nice, and just all these little cabbages here. They're just beautiful. But a lot of this is attributed to that chicken manure. Well, one, the chicken manure, and two, those grass clippings. They just keep the soil moist and just help it to keep breaking down more over time. And tilling that little bit doesn't hurt anything in here. It's a beautiful situation, man. Those chickens over there and in this garden, it's working out great. Then we got our broccoli. We didn't even plant that long ago. And you can see heads of broccoli already coming up, and you can actually see they're getting close to wanting to flower. Well, they still got a little way to go, but we'll be picking that and eating pretty quick here. We love broccoli around here. And then look at this. This is one of Shelly's favorites for cauliflower. She loves cauliflower, so we always plant some of that. And it starts turning kind of a cool purple color. See if we can get that in the shade. Cool purple color there in the sun, but it's really good stuff. Just really good cauliflower. She planted some lettuce this year. We didn't get on top of the weeds as much as we'd like to, but hey, you know, what are you going to do? It's our own personal garden. So there it is from another view. Everything we got planted this year, and we'll use up most everything here. Like I said, those cabbages, I'm going to put all them in a big fermenting crock. We're going to make sauerkraut. Love the stuff. This is that lettuce. Or not lettuce, this is that celery. You guys saw that video. Once again, I made a video on that. I'll put a link down there, but this was the one that we did in that video. That was last summer or last spring, and I ended up planting it out here just to see what would happen. It grew a little bit through the summer. I let the chickens in and they kept it 8 down, but the stalks kept coming back up. They couldn't kill this thing, and eventually we put the chickens out through our little door right here and closed it up, and this thing just started taking off. I don't know if it'll ever become any appreciable celery. It's kind of fun to watch it grow there. And then we could collect the seeds if we want to, I guess. We got some bell peppers. We do bell peppers every year. I do have those hot peppers. You guys have seen those. They're not in here. They're in pots right now because I'm trying to figure out, I'd like to keep those. Keep them going. Bring them inside through the winter. I can show those to you if you want. But that's it. That's our vegetable garden. So this is my little plant hospital over here. So I've got a couple rhododendrons that hadn't been doing that good, and really beautiful variety, super gold. So I pruned them way back just to where there was only the nice stuff coming up off the top. Cut all the dead, dying stuff away and put it in a bigger pot, fertilized it well. So I'm hoping it comes back because I'd really like to get some cuttings from that. You don't want to try and take cuttings from, you know, plants that are not the healthiest, and that's not that healthy. So we're trying to give its roots a chance to grow and get it healthy again. And we got a Fantastica. It wasn't looking that good, so I potted it into a much bigger pot. That's probably like a 20-gallon pot right there, something like that, maybe a 15. And then fertilized it, and it'll recover. It'll take a year or two. And then this one actually wasn't a hospital plant. It was doing really well. This is that Charles E. Pearson. You have seen these before out in the landscape. It was doing beautiful, but you guys asked me about the heat, how our heat did. Over the last couple days we had like a massive heat wave, and it was horrible. It was the hottest I've ever seen it here in the 30 years I've lived in this state. And you can see what the heat did to my rhodies. It did to a lot of them. This is all new growth. It would have, this growth right here, all this that you see throughout here, this new growth, would have looked like that had it had a little bit more chance. But the sun just beat it down. I couldn't keep it watered enough, and it ended up singeing a lot of the tips of the leaves. And that did that on some of my landscape plants too. Overall, everything looks okay, but it was pretty bad. It was pretty rough. I did lose a few plants. Here's those peppers. You guys have been asking about these peppers. Those are the ones we grew indoors, and I'll put links to that down in the description of the that whole pepper grow series we did indoors in those grow tents. And I transplanted them into these 5-gallon pots, and they are doing so much better in these 5-gallon pots now. You can see all the new growth and the new leaves, and we got lots of peppers that are starting to come on. The funny thing is the Reaper started growing peppers too, which it wasn't indoors. Now that it's getting more heat out here, I probably need to slowly move it out into even more sun. But you can see there's a little green pepper, and that guy's turning red. Might have to pop that in my mouth, see what happens. Probably won't sleep tonight. But they're looking better. They're doing much better now that they're out here in the light, fertilized, and just looking really good. So I want to see how much more growth these guys put on through the summer, and then figure out how to get them through the winter. So there it is. I hope that answers some of your questions. We do vegetable garden, and we grow all kinds of edible plants. Now in the future we are going to be doing more and more of this, and I have plans out on the property, if it all works out in the long run, to do more of a food forest type setting out beyond the figs. So more and more we're expanding the trees, and we plan to do some nut trees and things like that. But we do plenty of vegetable gardening. Like I said, we grow what we are actually going to eat. There's, you know, unless you're just doing it for fun, there's not a lot of sense in growing more than what you can actually use or eat yourself or feed your chickens, you know, that kind of thing. But there's so much work that goes on around this place. We have to focus on, you know, making sure that what we're doing is going to count. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, you know what to do. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to follow along. If you want to see more gardening videos like this in the actual edible garden side, the vegetable garden or the fruit orchard, just let me know and we'll do more of them in the future. Have a fantastic week, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Adios. And for those of you wondering, this is why I'm into landscape plants so much. This is what I get to come home to every day. This is my little bit of heaven, and it's absolutely beautiful. And there's so many little trails that go through all that, and just little paths, and it's peaceful. We got all the shade provided by these huge evergreens. It's just a beautiful little setting.